Hello everybody, just wanted to make a little short video on how we can open the door for spiritual things, negative spiritual things to attach to us. And I just wanted to give a couple of examples of people in the Bible, and I'll use myself for an example. I was just thinking of how when I was 17, I lost my virginity, and I lost it with a girl, and some other guys had a girl, and I mean, not trying to sound too graphic, but back then we used to call it running the train. So to me, it wasn't, nothing special, like, marriage and, sex should be a form of worship and marriage. When I was 17, so, curiosity, I was kind of like pushed into it, so I did it. And not long after that, having that experience, I went into the military that December. Yeah, middle winter time here in South Carolina. We don't have a lot of snow, but that was one of the coldest winters we ever had, and it was rough. I actually got the flu doing basic training, but I was so tough. Back then, I toughed it out. Even with the flu, I made it through. Lost a lot of people, got sent home, but I made it through. But the very first night that I slept in one of these military bunks, I think they call it the MEP Center. It's where you get processed in. They give you clothing, boots. They indoctrinate you, give you shots and all these different things. I had a so-called wet dream. I didn't think nothing of it. I never had that experience before. And it was very strange to me. I just knew something was wrong, something was off. I thought maybe, I always wondered, maybe because I slept in a strange bed. You go to hotels or, you sleep in somebody's bed. You should always pray over the bed, because you don't know what that person prior to you has done on that bed. And everything is not holy. So if motel room, you should, if you can, you remember, take a little oil and bless it, and just, pray over the room and over the bed and over the, the blankets or whatever, sheets or whatever, and anything that's not, godly, to get out. But, after that experience, I didn't think nothing of it. So years later, I battled with a lot of different things, spiritually. But we know spiritual things, it manifests in the natural. So what had happened was, I don't know if it's in my bloodline. That's what I really wanted to talk about. You can have things in your bloodline, so to speak. It's like some people are predisposed to like diabetes running the family, or heart disease, or high blood pressure, or cancer. So sometimes these things are natural. It takes a trigger. And what I did by, that fornication, that sin, I opened that door. I basically allowed a certain type of demon to attach itself to me, even come inside of me. That's what the dream was showing me. Sometimes, you can have a dream and you don't understand it, or you dream, things can be happening while you sleep, and you can't remember anything because, unclean spirits, they block, your memory. They take the dream from you. And that's a very dangerous state to be in if you have a dream you can't remember or you can't recall what happened. That prevents you from taking, the necessary steps to counsel that dream, to counteract that dream. It's like the enemy, if an enemy's shooting at you, in the military, they say sometimes you can see where the enemy at by the muzzle fire. But if you can't see the muzzle fire and that enemy is camouflaged like a sniper, I mean, if you ever seen the movie Saving Private Ryan, it was very graphic. You got snipers, just picking people off. Nobody could tell where they're at. Same thing with the demonic realm. So years later, the manifestations is you can have sicknesses in your body. With a man, you can have erectile problems. These things, they hide. That's one of the main objects of the enemy is to hide and manipulate your thoughts the way you think. You can have lustful thought. Why am I struggling with porn? Why am I, I'm out here, sleeping around. Why am I having problems with my body? Your finances don't never line up, or you're always in debt. You have a lot of relationship problems, on and on. But, like I said, you got different categories of unclean spirits or demons, just like, you have different classes of angels. You got, I think, 14 types of angels. And you got other types of spirits, elders and seraphim and cherubim. And God only knows, all the different creatures he have out there, he's created spiritually. But today I know what I did, and I know the consequences for my actions. It was, even though I was young, you say, well, you young, a lot of things you don't know. Now, I wasn't taught that particular thing, but I was taught about sin, but it's like a lot of stuff just go right over your head. But you can have spiritual parasites attached to you at a very young age. And if you're a family line, you can have generational curses. You can be predisposed. I use a couple of people, for example, in the Bible. One of the meekest men that ever lived was Moses. But he was predisposed in his family line. They had anger issues. He even murdered a man in Egypt. So certain things triggered that. That's not of God. That's of the devil. Solomon, his line, David, and before him, they were womanizers. And with David, murderers, So it's like certain things would trigger that. And even being men of God, that those particular predisposed issues inside of them, you say, well, it's just a mental thing. No, I'm saying it's a spiritual thing. People need deliverance. Caused David to murder somebody and take the man's wife. Same thing with Solomon. He had all these different women. When God told him not to do it, he had over 1,000 women. And a lot of some of the women caused him to worship, other gods, idol gods. And I don't know if in the end, if Solomon made it or not, but he's supposed to have been the wisest man to ever live. But look how foolish he was in his older years, worshiping Baal and Moloch and building idols and all these different things. And the true and living God. So it's like I can use, for example, parasites. I don't know if you ever did a detox or like wormwood, taking wormwood, or I think it's some other type of thing you can get it from the vitamin shop. Got a combination of things that can drive out parasites out of your body. A parasite can sit in you for years and years. Worm, flukes, they got different types of parasite. And the parasite can affect your diet. It can affect your eyesight, your weight, even your sex drive. It can cause people to have sex. I know it's hard to believe but if you study, you can find this out. And people will have, issues from, having sex when they shouldn't have sex. But you can have parasites in you in the natural sense. Same thing with the demonic realm, unclean spirit. They can sit in you and be dormant for years until you do something against God's laws, and that opens the door and gives them the legal right to operate, so to speak. And that's what I did. Now, I don't know if it's in my generation. I never heard nobody in my family talking about it. But, a lot of things people, they don't talk about. Especially dreams or getting chased in dreams. I never heard nobody talk. Fighting in dreams. It's always something dark, or seeing graves in dreams, going down dark road, things, dogs, and all different types of things chasing you, witches, cats, and all. I done seen all different types of things. But me being me, and me knowing what I know now, I was predisposed because of, like I said, it's in my family line. So just cause, you can be doing good one year, the next year, all hell can break out. That could be anybody. The bottom fall out. But then you see a pattern of relationship problems, finance problems, problem with your body. And then it's like, okay, this is abnormal. What is it? But then God show you, He'll allow you to see things, whether it's good or bad, in a spiritual dream or a vision or whatever, and you don't act accordingly. And those seeds, that's what the devil do. I think I said this before. He plants seeds in you. Jesus talked about the farmer planting seeds, but while the farmer slept, the enemy came in and sowed tares. The enemy can sow tares into you spiritually, even in your dreams, in your mind, your thoughts, your consciousness, your psyche. And if you don't kill those weeds or get rid of those seeds, you ever see a weed, it's going to grow, it's going to sprout, and it's going to grow, and it choke everything else out. So that's where your deliverance come in. In a natural sense, that's like you going out and you got a nice flower bed, but grass and grew up through it, or weeds or vines or whatever. You got to go out there and pluck that up, pull it out, and make it back nice. And you have to do it on a regular basis. And you got to know the difference between a nice flower or fruit or a weed, because sometimes they can look the same. The enemy is very tricky. So for years and years, even before that, I would have, certain types of dreams, and I just didn't know what was going on. I just, you just cover it up. So I wanted to talk to my kids. I want y'all to listen to this in your lives. If you committing fornication, adultery, you got some homosexuals in the family, liars, thieves, whatever you have it. We all, in the same boat. Nobody's better than others. But just don't think because you stop doing something or try to, that thing that you open the door is not going to be attached to you. You have to ask for discernment. You have to pray certain prayers. And just like like I said, a parasite, you would be surprised if you took certain natural herbal products, what might come out of your gut. If you like to eat sugar like me, a lot of times this parasite can make you crave for that. M&Ms and all that stuff. And especially with a man, his stomach stick out, a lot of time can be in your intestines for years and years. I don't know if you ever seen tapeworm. People can have them in them flukes and all these different things. Same thing with demons. They can become part of your personality. It's like you ever see somebody with anger issues. You're like, well, that's just how they are. It might not just be who they are. You got another entity inside of you that's causing that person to have anger issues, or being a liar, or you might have a man or woman, they don't want to do it, but they're a cheat. They're a cheater, or they're a thief, or they have gluttony, eating issues, or, they're always sickly. So, I just wanted to put this message out there, to help somebody, because a lot of times we open the door, against God's laws, and I can just, I could be wrong, but for every human being I've heard, it's 10 demons. They don't have bodies. They disembodied spirits. So they need bodies to enjoy what we enjoy. God destroyed them a long time ago. Half angels, half men. And God, if you read the book of Genesis and Enoch, God destroyed them, their bodies, but the spirit still wanted the earth. It's disembodied spirit. So with them being half man, half angel, they can inhabit or attach themselves. You might not be possessed, but they can attach themselves, even get inside of people, to enjoy alcohol or sex. That it might not just be you that's causing you to watch certain movies. You got something else on board. You done seen movies, and it's true. So your soul, your body, your spirit is yours. And a good example of a man having a lot of unclean spirits is the man at the Gadarenes. He had over 2,000 spirit, 2,000 to 6,000, a legion. It could be up, I think, 1,000 up to 6,000. Could have been 6,000. So your soul can hold a lot in it. I don't know what's the maximum amount, but you have to just examine, and look at the patterns of your life, and ask God to open your eyes if this might be true. Especially, things just ain't going right, or you ain't feeling right. You're having certain kind of dreams all your life, and just a lot of negativity. So sometimes you are the farmer. You're your own farmer. Fallow ground is hard ground. If you ever farm, if you ever, seen ground that's hard, let's say you wanted to plant a tree, that ground gonna have to be softened up, and it's gonna have to be broke up, and you're gonna have to, put good dirt, dig a hole once you get it through the fallow ground, and put good soil in there to bring forth good fruit. Because a lot of us, we can't produce good fruit because we have allowed so many evil seeds through sin, transgression. It don't matter if you're young, because if you're young, you're gonna get old. So if you done so much wrong, like me in my youth, I did a lot of evil little things. You think, I'm just young, you might do this and do that. All you doing is just adding to the heap. Seed after seed, weed after weed. Then when you get older, all this stuff is gonna manifest, and it's gonna mature, and it's gonna make life hard. The devil is real, demons are real, angels are real, God is real. So if, let's say, for example, I'm in the video, if you committed fornication, what I've heard, you open the door for 7 demons to come in every time you do that. If you're homosexual, it's 8. And I'm going to tell you something. From my own experience, unclean spirits do not want to go once they're allowed in. We allow it in. If you didn't allow it in, it might be your father's house or your mother's house or your ancestors, great aunt, great grandma, people you never met, great grandma that opened the door through witchcraft or some type of sin, or maybe they even sold out the future generation. So it's up to you to, basically clean out your house through the power of Jesus Christ, through the power of God. And it don't happen overnight. In the Old Testament, it talks about little by little. I've been gaining my life little by little, my soul little by little, my thoughts little by little, and it's a fight. The devil do not want to be revealed. That's why you see all these secret societies, things of mystery. I think the word occult means hidden. Same thing with spirit. They want to stay hidden. They want to stay hidden until the day you die. Then they'll leave and go find another host. So hopefully, this will help somebody. I love each and every one of you. And take this serious. Examine yourself. Read the scriptures with the people that had problems. Like I said, Noah, he was a drunk. David was a fornicator. King Solomon, Jacob, he was a jokester. God changed his name. All these people, they had issues. Even Paul said he had a thorn in the flesh, a messenger of Satan. He needed deliverance. Paul had to be converted. He went to Ananias. Ananias laid hands on him, and he was filled with the Holy Spirit. But all these people, they needed deliverance. Even Peter, he denied Christ. And even Satan used him. Jesus rebuked him because he said, get thee, from me, Satan. He used Peter. He can use any of us. Even once we come into church, a lot of people come in and they never delivered. They accept Jesus Christ and they still catching hell. They still broke, still sick, still struggling with smoking or doing drugs. It's because of things that's attached to you. They're not attached to you, afflicting you, depressing you, or whatever else you want to call it. They're inside of you. But you can gain power and deliverance through Jesus Christ. And that's through your knowledge. So gain knowledge in what I'm trying to say. Gain knowledge yourself and want to be set free. I love each and every one of you. Have a good night. In Jesus' name I pray.